On today's show, the Cavs don't show up for Game 4, and now they're down 3-1. We've got a lot to talk about on today's edition of Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? My name is Danny Cunningham. You might know me from my time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, places like my Substack, The Inside Shot, Cleveland Magazine, 92.3 The Fan, and a number of other stops along the way. I just want to say thank you to you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review. Be a friend. Tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode, of course, brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. The Cleveland Cavaliers lose Game 4 to the Indiana Pacers, 129-109. 20-point loss. It was not a 20-point loss. This was a 41-point loss. The Cavs were trailing at halftime 80-39 on Sunday night. They played the worst half of basketball they've played all season long. They did nothing well offensively. They did nothing well defensively. The Pacers played great. Full credit to them. I thought they were terrific defensively. Thought they made some good looks that they generated. Thought they made some tough shots that the Cavs did actually defend well. But when you allow a team to get comfortable, which I thought the Cavs allowed Indiana to get comfortable very early in this game, sometimes good defense doesn't matter. Nothing went well for the Cavs in this game. Nothing. I might maybe be able to squeeze one positive out in the final segment of the show, but the Cavs no-showed in the biggest game of the year. That's what happened on Sunday night here in Indianapolis. The Cavs had the opportunity after losing game 1 because they were not ready for the Pacers' tempo, losing game 2 because they could not close. They come to Indianapolis with the opportunity to get back in this series. They take care of business in game 3. They played really well. Donovan Mitchell was great. Really nice win. Lot to be happy about from Friday. And then you fast forward to Sunday, and they have the chance to tie the series up at 2 and go home 2-2. You've won the last 2. Then if you don't win in 5 and 6, you've got game 7 at home. That's what you could feel good about. Instead, the game was played here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I don't know where the Cavs were, but the Cavs did not show up for this game. Nobody had a good game for them. They played with no force. They played with no physicality. They looked like a team that was exhausted. And maybe they are tired. Maybe this last week has been a lot on them, considering some of the injuries and the fact that they had to mentally get past the game 2, and like all that stuff can be true. But ultimately, the way I look at it, with the state of this team in terms of their health, with Darius Garland, with Evan Mobley, with now Donovan Mitchell, who did not play in the second half of this game because of a sprained ankle. He did tell Cleveland.com, and I believe The Athletic as well, that he will play. He will be there for game 5 on Tuesday. Kenny Atkinson said Donovan's going to get an MRI on Monday. We'll see what happens. I'm recording this at 1:15 in the morning on Monday after game 4, so I have no idea. I would expect he's going to try and play. If he plays great, how effective is he going to be? I don't know. But with where this team is at health-wise, coming back from down 3-1 is not just coming back from down 3-1. Coming back from down 3-1 is doing it while you're nowhere near your best. Like this, the version that we've seen of the Cavs in this series is so far removed from what the best version of the Cavs this year was. And I think that is the thing ultimately. Like, the injuries have certainly played a part in that. There's no doubt about that. Not having Evan Mobley for a game mattered big time. Not having Darius Garland for 2 games mattered big time. The version of Darius Garland that we're currently seeing is not the all-star version of Darius Garland. That all matters a lot, and you have to provide that context. But there's no way to paint this other than a massive disappointment. This game was a massive disappointment. This series so far has been a massive disappointment. Now, If they come back from down 3-1 and win the next three and beat the Pacers in 7 and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, that will change things. But I'm really searching right now to find reasons to think that could happen. Like what I keep coming back to, and if you've been listening to this podcast throughout this series, it is at some point the Cavs have to start shooting the basketball better. That wasn't in game 4. They've not, I don't believe, and let me pull this up because I don't know the final stats. But their starting 5 did not shoot the ball well. They shot 40% from 3, partially because Jalen Tyson hit 2. Isaac Okoro hit 2 in the fourth quarter. Chuma Okeke hit 1. Like, they hit 5 threes. They went 14 of 35, partially because in garbage time when there was no pressure and there was not any game pressure in the second half at all. Like, this game was decided with around 3 minutes left in the second quarter when the Pacers went on a run to close out the half. That's when this game was over. But the Cavs' key players have not shot the ball well in this series. Darius Garland 1 of 5. Donovan Mitchell 1 of 5. Max Strus has showed up. He's about the only one, 3 of 7. Evan Mobley 2 of 4, but one of those was in the second half when there was no game pressure. Ty Jerome 1 of 1. That came in the second half when there was no game pressure. DeAndre Hunter 0 of 2. Sam Merrill 0 of 2. Dean Wade 1 of 2. I believe that make was in the second half when there was no game pressure. Like they were at halftime 5 of 19 on threes. So if you want to talk yourself into it, it's okay. The Cavs are at some point going to start shooting the ball well. Maybe that's game 5. Outside of that, the Pacers absolutely dominated this game. And the Cavs can still look themselves in the mirror. Well, we outplayed Indy in game 2. We outplayed Indy significantly in game 3. This should be a 2-2 series at worst. Should be, but that's not the reality we live in. The Cavs blew a game at home in game 2. They were not prepared in game 1. And they eliminated all of their margin for error. That's what happened there. Winning the series after that stuff was not impossible, but you couldn't afford a night like this one. You could not afford a night like what Sunday night was, where it's not just that they lose, it's that they got absolutely dominated. Like the Pacers looked like a team capable of winning in the finals, and the Cavs looked like a team that didn't belong in the playoffs in this game. It was about as surprised as I have been about a result for a Cavs game this year. I thought that they were going to come in here and play with a lot of force, play with a lot of physicality, and be the same team that we saw on Friday. Because the team we saw on Friday, again, outside of the shooting, pretty closely resembled what the Cavs were all season long. They didn't win 64 games by accident. It's not that this team stinks all of a sudden. It's that they're playing their worst basketball at the worst possible time. They've picked a couple bad days. They have a couple bad days. And in a short sample size like this, where it's a best of 7, you don't get to do that. And the Cavs have probably cost themselves this season. And this is not the time to do this because the season is not over. And it is possible for them to come back. Again, I wouldn't bet on it, but it is possible. They won 64 games to maybe make it one game further than they did last year. Think about that for a second. That is what was put in play by this game tonight. Last year, they lost in the second round of the Boston Celtics in 5 games. If they don't win on Tuesday, they've won 64 games and lost in the second round in 5 games. This year, the regular season success was great. And the Cavs deserve a lot of credit for it. They did everything right. They were great. They played with so much depth. They played a great brand of basketball. They were so fun to watch. But a lot of that goes out the window when you have a massive playoff failure that they're staring down the barrel of right now. And that is the one thing that I just keep coming back to, is that how could this team be so good, especially offensively during this season, and then disappear the way they have in this series? Because that happened. That's what happened. Defensively was not good enough at any point in this game, but I do think that their defense was very severely impacted by their struggles offensively. I think that the fact they gave up 80 points in the first half, unacceptable, obviously, but the fact that they gave up 80 points in the first half, I think is very, very directly connected to the fact that they only scored 39 in the first half. If the Cavs had an average offensive half, they're not winning this game. No way. but they're not down by 41, and the Pacers don't score 80. It's probably a 20-point game, which not great, but is a salvageable thing at halftime. Instead, the Cavs did nothing well, and now they're fighting for their season because of it. Those are not words I expected to be saying. And afterwards in the locker room, as you might expect, it was a very quiet locker room. It was a very, very quiet locker room here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse because the Cavs know the hole that they're in. Now, 3-1 leads, there have been comebacks before. Maybe you've heard about one that the Cavs have had. This is a very tall mountain to climb. It's a very, very tall mountain to climb. And the fact that now Donovan Mitchell might be a little bit more compromised than he already was, that makes it all the more difficult. We're going to talk about the injury situation and all the other stuff that I didn't hit on because there was so much stuff that went wrong on Sunday night that we have more to talk about next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, you know what time it is. It's playoff season. That means big performances and even bigger rewards. And DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 2025 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more. Use code WINGSTOP50, that is WINGSTOP50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. Offer valid noon to midnight the day after the game. Terms, of course, do apply. Again, sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50 or more in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tender combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 order and code WINGSTOP50. That is Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, for listening wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you subscribe and tell a friend about Locked On Cavs as well. Donovan Mitchell did not play in the second half of this game. It was a weird situation because he came out of the locker room, as everybody does, to warm up for the second half. And I didn't see what happened live, and I've seen the videos that have been circulating social media of the injury, which I don't know if this was something that maybe he tweaked in the first half and was testing it out, or if he hurt it at that moment. I asked Kenny Atkinson after the game, like, how did Donovan hurt this? And he did not have an answer for me. He did not know. And Kenny also said that Donovan's going to get an MRI on his ankle on Monday. So we'll see what those results bring. As I mentioned in the first segment, Donovan told Cleveland.com that he's going to be there Tuesday, that he's going to play. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I can't tell the future. We will see what happens. But trying to come back from a 3-1 deficit without Donovan Mitchell, or without the healthy version of Donovan Mitchell, makes this so much tougher. Because what in the two games that the Cavs have looked good, so game 2 and game 3, the common denominator there is Donovan Mitchell was great. Game 2, 48 points, nearly wills the Cavs to victory, a game they should have won. Game 3, 43 points. I think, for my money, the second best non-LeBron Cavs playoff game that the franchise has ever had. That's how great he was in game 3. So if they don't have that version of him, when Evan Mobley is, I did not think he was good in this game. I thought he was good in game 3. Darius Garland is not himself right now. DeAndre Hunter is not giving you much, and I think that the thumb is certainly a factor. He did not shoot the ball well again tonight. Also involved in an altercation with Benedict Mathurin, we'll talk about in a second. But you look at all of these things, and like, the Cavs being where they're at in this series is explainable. They are excuses. It doesn't mean they're wrong, but they have excuses for this because of the health aspect and just how important that really is. But trying to come back from this without Donovan Mitchell feels like a fool's errand. Now, I would bet he tries to play because that's who Donovan Mitchell is. And, I don't know how severe this ankle sprain was. He was not wearing a walking boot after the game, which is a good sign. But we'll see. Maybe, and I wish I would have asked Kenny Atkinson this. Maybe if this were a game in the second half, as opposed to the Cavs being down by 41 at halftime, Donovan plays. Maybe he can play through it. But down 41 at halftime, it could be a type of thing where it's like, hey, it's 41 points. Obviously has been dealing with a calf thing. Ankles bothering him. Game 5 is 48 hours away. Let's just call it a day. And we're going to start our work to do the improbable next. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I didn't ask about that. I don't know. That's the only way that I could look at this and say, okay, it's not that bad. But his jumper wasn't great tonight. And that, you think, okay, lower body issue happening right there. It's a tough spot to be in for the Cavs all around. And with Darius Garland, so here's the one positive thing that I can get to. Is Darius Garland played in the second half of this game. The fact that he played in the second half while dealing with the foot injury that he has been dealing with, I do think is a good sign. Now, offensively, he's starting to look better. Defensively, he has not been very good. And I do wonder, and I asked him about playing in the second half, if he found some rhythm. Because in the first half, he wasn't good. Nobody was good, right? I don't need to tell you that. You watched the game, In the second half, Garland he played the whole third quarter, scored 12 points on 4-6 shooting, didn't hit any threes, but was able to kind of find the spots on the floor he likes to get to. I'm also not going to sit here and say the Pacers tried super hard in the second half. I thought they coasted for those full 24 minutes. They had it on cruise control. We're good. We will see you in game 5. We're going to try and end your season Tuesday night on your home floor. They did not put forth a good effort. They didn't need to put forth a good effort. They were up by 41 at halftime. If you guys think back to the game the Cavs played at home back in, this would have been early November against the Golden State Warriors, this was the inverse of that. That's what this was. Cavs were up at halftime in that game by 41 points. They won it by 25 because they didn't try in the second half. That's what happened here. The Pacers didn't try in the second half. This was a 20-point loss. That, let's call it what it is. It was a 41-point loss. This was one of the most embarrassing losses I think the Cavs have ever had as a franchise. Considering the stakes, I don't think embarrassment is a strong enough word. I don't think colossal failure. If you listen to the Instant Reaction podcast I did with Tony East after the game that was posted before this one, he called it a colossal failure. I don't think that's strong enough. This was just an absolute dud. And if you want to take out that Garland maybe found his rhythm and maybe that's a sign for the future that you could be happy about, and, Evan Mobley doesn't have 2 bad games in a row, maybe you can be happy about that. It all kind of feels like grasping for straws right now. It does. I mean, they get to go home. If they win game 5, they come back here. I do expect them to win game 5 because they'll be at home and they're a good team. And I just don't think they're going to go out that way. But this is such a tall task. This is such a tall task for them to try and climb. And doing it without Donovan Mitchell being at 100%, doing it without, so they have 3 All-Stars that from this year. None of them are close to 100% right now. And that makes this so much more difficult. It really does. But this was not about injuries tonight. This was about want to. This was about force. Kenny Atkinson uses that word a lot. And he used that word today because he uses it most times when he's talking about physicality and pace and, controlling the game, dictating the tempo, stuff like that. He kind of all puts that together as force. And I do like that as a term. And I think it's something you can see. And the Pacers very clearly played with a lot of force on Sunday night. And the Cavs just let them. The Cavs just kind of watched the Pacers do whatever they wanted. The Pacers did not have any issues against the Cavs. The Cavs in this game had little to no force. It was almost as if different guys were just wearing the Cavs uniforms from the ones that played on Friday night. That's what it felt like watching this game. I don't know the last time I was as surprised by a Cavs outcome as I was this game. This was a jarring defeat. It was a jarring defeat. I don't know how they come back from it. I don't. They can. I don't necessarily know the formula. I said I would try and find some positives. So we're going to do that next. Maybe I will figure out a way to talk everybody into how this team can win in 7 games, even if it feels very improbable at this moment right now. We'll do that next right here on Locked On Cavs. Today's show brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track of all that cash flow. That's where Monarch Money comes in, because they'll be your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending right in one place. So you stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, even plan for some of those long-term goals that I know you have. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all of the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDON NBA at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. Today's show also brought to you by Hungry Root. Everyone might be asking you, why am I so busy? Why do I not have the time to go grocery shopping, to cook healthy meals, to do everything that you want to do? Maybe you don't have that time, but you do have time to use Hungry Root, because Hungry Root's like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist wrapped into one. They'll take care of your grocery shopping and meal planning, offering personalized recommendations based on your taste and health goals. Hungry Root will tailor your order based on what you like or maybe didn't love in the past. It gets smarter every single time. They've got high quality, nutritious food that helps you stick to maybe a gut-friendly, high-protein diet without having to spend hours planning what you're going to put into your body. The meals come together in 15 minutes or less, giving you more time to hit the gym, spend time with family, maybe, I don't know, some of the other hobbies that you might have, because I don't know what your hobbies are, but what you do need to do is take advantage of this exclusive deal, because right now you can get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA, LOCKEDON NBA. That is hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA for 40% off and a lifetime free item. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said, if you're watching the video on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button for me, click subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the latest Locked On Cavs content. All right, here's how the Cavs can do this. 1, Donovan Mitchell's ankle sprain is not that bad. That is what the answer needs to be when the Cavs get an MRI on Donovan Mitchell on his ankle on Monday. If it is not that bad, they have some hope, because they need Donovan Mitchell to be great to win the next 3 games in this series. Number 2, they've got to start hitting shots. I know I've talked about this a ton in this series. It probably sounds like a broken record, but if the Cavs are shooting their average percentage from 3, they're probably up 3-1 right now in this series. If they just have average 3-point games, they're probably winning this series 3-1. Instead, they've had 3 abysmal performances. Now, they won one of those games. They would not have won tonight, just to be clear. Like, shooting 40% from 3, which they technically did, would not have won them this game tonight. They would not have found a way to win tonight just by being average on 3s. But I think game 1 they would have. Game 2 they certainly would have. So maybe, as Kenny Atkinson said, at some point they're going to have a hot shooting night. Maybe that starts on Tuesday. And maybe it goes, Tuesday they shoot the ball great. Thursday they shoot the ball great. Game 7 on Sunday, whatever happens, happens. Maybe that's the case. It could be. Like, that's not the craziest thing to think. I think that's actually probably more likely than Donovan Mitchell being 100% at any point in the rest of the series. I think that the Cavs getting hot from 3 is a more likely thing than that. Number 3, they only have to win 1 road game to do it. I do think on Tuesday night in Cleveland, I think they'll take care of business, because I don't think that they're going to want the season to end this way. And I know they don't want the season to end in this round. Like, that sounds silly to say. But I think at home, they will play well. I think they'll play much better. I think that there's a chance, too, that the Pacers don't play well in that game. Last year, and you heard this on the initial reaction podcast with Tony East, last year, Indy was in a very similar spot against the Bucks. Milwaukee got boat raced by them in game 4. They didn't have Giannis. They didn't have Dame. They go back to Milwaukee for game 5, and the Bucks win without their 2 best players because the Pacers did not play well. And then game 6, Indy took care of business. I could see that happening. And then, okay, so you've won 1 home game. You have to come win a road game, something the Cavs have done. They've won in this building twice this year. That's not a crazy thing to think that could happen. And then after that, you have a game 7 at home. And you have, if he's healthy, the best player in the series in Donovan Mitchell. You won 64 games. Win 1 game at home to advance. Like, that, I think, is the recipe. Again, as I mentioned earlier, don't think it's all that likely. The health of this team is not in a great place. They're not playing great basketball. They did nothing well in this game. I think that this would be a very improbable comeback, as all 3-1 comebacks are. They've happened, I believe, 13 times in the NBA. All of them have been improbable. But that's the blueprint, is you win game 5, and then you have to find a way to win here. And if you do that, a game 7 at home, you feel really good about it. It's getting to that point that's the really tough test. The thing the Cavs have going for them is 2 of those 3 games they need to win are at home. Can they do it? I don't know. I don't. I thought they were going to win this game tonight. I thought they were going to win this series. The way that I looked at this is whoever won game 4, and I think this is true more often than not, and of course it is, but in a series that's 2-1, whoever wins game 4, whether it's to go up 3-1 or to tie it at 2, you feel pretty good about that team's the one that's going to win the series. The Pacers, they played like that. They played like a desperate team in this game. And I mentioned this during the Heat series. One of the things I was very impressed with the Cavs was they were the more desperate team, despite the fact that they were winning 2-0, 3-0 in that series. The Pacers are the ones that treated this game on Sunday like it was a must-win. It was a must-win for the Cavs. Maybe you could talk me into it was a must-win for the Pacers too. Like, you could talk me into that. But the Cavs didn't show up like it was a must-win. They showed up like it was just a January Tuesday. The Pacers showed up like this was a game 7, and they played like it, and it was so evident. And that is probably the most troubling part of all of this, is that the Cavs got to the point where their season was sort of on the line, and they were down by 41 at halftime. It's a pretty tough pill, I think, for this organization to swallow. I will be back tomorrow talking probably more about this game. Probably we'll have some injury updates and start looking ahead to game 5, what could be the final game of the Cavs season. So thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. Like I said earlier, you can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Drop us a 5-star rating. Leave us a nice review as well. Be a friend, tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure a friend is subscribed as well. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button for me. Click subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And I will be back tomorrow with more Locked On Cavs.